Coming up on the Rockbridge Report, the government has nearly avoided a shutdown. What other obstacles they're looking at next? Controversy among parents and students regarding Rockbridge County High School's extracurricular club policy, what it is and who's upset. And Dabney S. Lancaster Community College is changing its name. We'll tell you the 3 possible new names and campus reactions. One skateboarding expert calls it the worst skate park in Virginia. What locals are trying to do to fix it. Are we going to continue to enjoy this warm, dry weather? Weather anchor Drew Thompson has the cast. All this and more on the Rockbridge Report.
Live from the campus of Washington and Lee University with news from Rockbridge County, this is the Rockbridge Report.
Good afternoon and welcome to this semester's first edition of the Rockbridge Report. I'm Shauna Muckle. Later on in the newscast, I'll be joined by Adam Lamberti, Drew Thompson's weather, and James Laverty's sports. The Senate just passed a bill to keep the government funded through December. The House followed shortly after. One part of the bill beat the 12:01 a.m. deadline. Britt Conway reports.
It also includes emergency funding for natural disaster relief and to assist in Afghan refugee resettlement. Once the Senate acts, the House is expected to take up the measure. But avoiding a government shutdown before Friday isn't the only thing on lawmakers' to-do list. They also need to lift the debt ceiling before the middle of October. It's a battle being pitched right down party lines.
It's the Democrats that want to take on all this debt to pay for all of this massive spending.
We're just asking for Republicans to get out of the way.
Coming to a compromise on a budget reconciliation package is still a work in progress. The White House sees this as a way to expand the social safety net, addressing everything from tax codes and climate-related measures to health care. But the dollar amount is a big sticking point, and some Democrats say until that deal is done, they won't vote yes on a bipartisan infrastructure bill, though the House is scheduled to vote on the matter as soon as today. It would mean more than $1 trillion to fix roads and bridges across the country, plus a slew of other projects. Clearly, a lot of work to be done in D.C. in the face of deadlines and drama. I'm Britt Conway reporting.
President Biden's plan to require workers to be vaccinated against COVID-19 has caused a familiar divide among Democrats and Republicans. A poll released today by the Associated Press NORC Center for Public Affairs says 51% of people approve of the Biden vaccine requirement, 34% disapprove, and 14% don't have an opinion. Students at Rockbridge County High School are now required to have a signed parental permission slip to join an extracurricular club. While it sounds routine, opponents argue it's an attack against some students' rights. I spoke earlier this afternoon with reporter Bree Hatch, who has been covering the story. I asked her to explain why the announcement has caused controversy.
Supporters believe that parents have the right to know and dictate what clubs their children can join, but opponents say this directly targets LGBTQ+ students whose parents can deny them the right to join the Sexuality and Gender Awareness Club, also known as SAGA.
And is there a reason that this policy is being passed by the school board right now?
So the school board and administration say that this is a necessary update to their outdated policy, but across the nation we see this parental permission slip requirement pop up when there's issues surrounding LGBTQ+ student rights. So some think that the passage of the transgender non-discrimination policies this summer has led the school board to pass this policy to appease angry parents.
And what else does this new policy affect?
So the new policy also sorts clubs into 2 groups, non-curriculum related clubs and curriculum related clubs. The non-curriculum related clubs, like SAGA, cannot host events during school hours, and the role of their teacher sponsors is drastically reduced. This could harm clubs who the leadership teacher role plays a large effect into their operation.
Thank you, Bree. You can read Bree's full story at rockbridgereport.wlu.edu. The national debate over history versus inclusion has arrived at another college in Rockbridge County. Dabney S. Lancaster Community College in Clifton Forge recently announced its name will change after troubling history surfaced regarding its namesake. Reporter Ian Dardany looks at what DSLCC's new name may be.
Dabney S. Lancaster Community College has agreed with the state board to change its name after information emerged that Dabney S. Lancaster was a member of the Anglo-Saxon Club from 1923 to 1925. Dr. James Cook, the public information officer at DSLCC, believes at the time the club was harmless, but given today's social climate, renaming the school is for the best.
At that time, the Anglo-Saxon club was like the Jewish club or the Italian club or whatever, and it was not necessarily a racist organization. However, today in 2021, we look at those and say that they were obviously deeply segregated clubs.
After agreeing to drop the name, the school created a task force which selected 3 alternative names: Headwaters, Mountain Gateway, and Mountain River. Some students and faculty seem more apprehensive about a name change, while others support it.
If a black person is genuinely offended by the name, they should change it. But if like white people are just making a big stink just to, overcompensate for black people, and the black people don't really know or it doesn't concern them, then it's just kind of stupid.
Well, I think a name change isn't necessarily a bad thing. Well, truthfully, Dabney Lancaster, all it does is describe the person that the place is named after. So I guess if you name it more after a geographical sense, I don't know, I think that would be better in my opinion.
Community members ranked their preferences online. The school received over 700 responses before the deadline last week.
I picked Mountain River on the survey. I just thought that would be the best sounding name, in my opinion, for a school.
I like, Mountain Gateway because, I like the term gateway. It just, it's such a relaxing.
Although there seem to be mixed reviews among students and faculty on whether or not Dabney S. Lancaster Community College necessarily needed a name change, it seems there is overall optimism for the proposed name that will be announced this November. With the Rockbridge Report, I'm Ian Dardney.
Coming up next on the Rockbridge Report, the nationwide eviction ban ends this month. We'll tell you what's next.
Well, it might be officially fall, but we sure are having some late summer weather here. I'm Drew Thompson, and tune in later to hear more about the weather.
And later on in the newscast, we'll have a live report on the future of the Spotswood property. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the Rockbridge Report. I'm Adam Lamberti. The national eviction ban is ending for good. Jen Sullivan has the details.
After the Supreme Court struck down the CDC's eviction moratorium, several states like New York and Illinois and even some parts of California announced plans to extend the ban. The National Low-Income Housing Coalition says currently there are roughly 6.5 million households behind on rent after losing jobs, work hours, and wages during the pandemic.
There are estimates that about 40% of renters are currently protected by state or citywide eviction moratoriums.
But now that safety net is disappearing for millions of tenants, like Christina Toscano, who applied for assistance and fears the worst.
Being evicted with my child and not having anywhere to go. I just think about my son, what am I going to tell him?
The National Low-Income Housing Coalition says only about $10 billion of the $45 billion in aid allocated by Congress has gone out to people in danger of losing the roofs over their heads. Housing advocates say more needs to be done federally, but also on the state and local level as well.
Governors and mayors should implement or extend eviction moratoriums at least until all the emergency rental assistance reaches the tenants and landlords who need it.
For today's Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
And now live from Spotswood Drive, where a 2.5-acre piece of property is still waiting to be developed. Simona Radova has the story. Simona?
Thank you. So I'm here in front of the 350 Spotswood Drive property, which will soon be subject to subdivision. To my right is the Piovano building that hosts nonprofits RARA and the Community Table. RARA recently reached an agreement with the city and will officially purchase the building on October 31st. That is also when the city will close the window for any proposals for the rest of the Spotswood property. The 4 to 5 initial proposals included the Piovano building, but now have to be revised. The city is also open to any new proposals and hopes to see the property developed for housing, specifically apartments. Reporting live in Lexington, this is Simona Radova.
Chesapeake-based company Dollar Tree is making some big price changes. Some locations will now sell items exceeding the $1 limit. This comes as shipping costs increase and the inflation rate hit 4.2% in July, the highest it's been in 30 years. Next, an update on wildfires raging out west and what some are doing to keep animals safe. and details on what's next for Britney Spears in her battle against her father. And details on this weekend's forecast, all next on the Rockbridge Report. The Rockbridge Report continues now. With wildfires raging in California, one county is offering shelter for both pets and livestock. Brittany Jacob has the story.
With fires raging in Tulare County, people and even animals are forced to evacuate. Tulare County Animal Services is offering shelter for both pets and livestock and ensuring they stay safe and healthy as their owners take care of themselves during the K&P complex and windy wildfires.
I can't even imagine what they're going through and what they're having to deal with right now. So we are here to take care of their animals. We are doing a very good job with all the staff that we have trained in caring for animals, and you know, that's one less worry that they have to have on their shoulders.
Karen Coelho oversees the operations for the animal shelters. Their location in Visalia is currently housing more than 75 domestic animals, dogs, cats, chickens, and even a tortoise. Meanwhile, the International Agri Center is hosting 30 large animals and livestock.
The neighborhood outside of Carillion Hospital. Now let's go to the weather almanac. Today's high was 78, the low was 48. Right now the barometric pressure is 30 and 14/100 inches of mercury. There's no wind right now, it's all calm out there, and the humidity is standing at 43%. Now for a look at the radar, as you can see there's some cloud coverage south of Lexington, however it's clear in the north. And for today's regional temperatures, it's 77 in Charlottesville, 73 in Buena Vista, 72 in Lexington, 72 in Stanton, 79 in Lynchburg, 72 in Covington, and 80 degrees in Roanoke. And now for the 5-day forecast, tomorrow it will be sunny with a high of 76, the low of 48. Saturday also sunny with a high of 79, the low of 53. Sunday, a high of sunny with a high of 82 and a low of 59. Monday, we get some rain with a high of 76, the low of 59. And Tuesday, also some rain with a high of 74 and a low of 45. Next, James Laverty will have matchups for high school and area college football games and the end of baseball's regular season. A local group looks to revamp Lexington's only state park. All that coming up next.
Welcome back to the Rockbridge Report. I'm Shauna Muckle. After a long battle, Britney Spears' father has now been suspended from the role as conservator of her estate. CNN's Camilla Bernal has the latest.
It's a great day for Britney Spears.
After many calls for freedom,
I'm so pleased and proud to say Jamie Spears is no longer a conservator.
a Los Angeles Superior Court judge suspending Jamie Spears from his daughter's conservatorship and designating a certified public accountant to oversee her estate, but not yet ending the 13-year arrangement that has motivated activism and created a movement.
A long time coming, and I think, we wouldn't be here if we hadn't gotten to hear from Britney directly, publicly.
Since 2008, Jamie Spears has overseen many aspects of his daughter's life, including, until 2019, control of her health, medical, and financial needs. But over the summer, the Grammy winner speaking out. During 2 emotional testimonies, she said she wanted to press charges against her father for conservatorship abuse, calling the arrangement cruelty.
Britney's body, Britney's choice.
Jamie Spears has maintained he has always acted in his daughter's best interest. He's seeking nearly $2 million to cover his salary overseeing her business dealings, as well as his legal fees. But Britney's attorney has said that they will not agree to a settlement. In Los Angeles, I'm Camila Bernal.
And now it is time for your Sports Corner. I'm James Laverty. Football season is in full swing across the country, but we'll start right here in Rockbridge, where the Rockbridge County High School football team dropped a heartbreaker to Fort Defiance this past week, 16-17. Fort Defiance kicker Will Brooks ended the team's 4-game losing streak, kicking a 17-yard field goal with 39 seconds remaining to drop the Wildcats to 2-2. Rockbridge plays at home tomorrow night at 7 against Spotswood. Perry McClure won their first game of the season this week with a 28-16 victory over Rural Retreat. Jalen Mitchell of the Fighting Blues put on a show as he pulled down 4 interceptions and taking 2 of them back for 6. On the other side of the football, in the wake of starting running back John Snyder's injury, backup Evan Cook ran for 2 Perry McClure touchdowns. They improved to 1-3, and they will play a 1-3 Madison County team at home tomorrow night at 7. And now we move to college. The Washington Elite Generals scored on the final play of the game this weekend as backup quarterback Steven Murin led a 99-yard drive that concluded with a 2-yard QB sneak to bring them to within 1. Coach Garrett LaRolles pulled no punches as he gave the ball to Josh Brees on an option play to win the game on a 2-point conversion to beat the 16th-ranked Randolph-Macon. The Generals improved to 3-1 and will play a 2-2 Hampton-Sydney team this Saturday at 1 p.m. And down the road, a few miles south in Blacksburg, the Virginia Tech Hokies knocked off the 21st nationally ranked UNC Tar Heels to improve to 3-1. The Virginia Tech defense led the way as they forced future top 10 NFL draftee quarterback Sam Howell to throw 3 interceptions. The Hokies have a bye week this week, but they have a big one coming up on October 9th as they host the 9th-ranked team in the nation, Notre Dame. And to the pros, the Ravens continued their hot play as they improved to 3-0 with a 19-17 win against the Detroit Lions. They'll play the 3-0 Broncos this Sunday at 4:25, but all eyes are on Tom Brady's return to New England this weekend as he goes up against Bill Belichick's Patriots. This much-anticipated game is going to be the Sunday night matchup. So Brady's Bucks are favored by 7, and he is just 68 yards away from becoming the NFL's all-time passing leader. And what more of a story-way book to do it than in front of the New England faithful? I'll be traveling to Foxborough this weekend for the game, and we'll be sure to give you the inside scoop on next week's Rockbridge Report. And to wrap things up, with 4 days left in the Major League Baseball season, there are 4 teams competing for 2 wild card spots. The Yankees, Red Sox, Blue Jays, and Mariners are all within 2 games of each other. One of those 4 teams will play the Tampa Bay Rays in the division series, but it looks like there may be at least a tiebreaker and a wild card game Monday and Tuesday to figure this one out. The season ended today. The Yankees would host the Red Sox in the wild card game, but the Mariners are just a half game out, while the Blue Jays are 1 game back of the Red Sox. Over on the other side of the National League, the wild card game is set as the 102-win Dodgers will host a red-hot St. Louis Cardinals team that just rattled off 17 straight wins. The Cardinals announced Adam Wainwright will start that game, and Dodgers are expected to start Walker Buehler. The winner will travel to San Francisco to play a Giants team that, as of today, has won 104 games. The Braves and Brewers series is set as the Brew Crew will have the home field advantage in that one. By this time next week, the division series will be underway, and we will keep you updated on all the latest developments. And back to some local news. Decades after its creation, Lexington Skate Park is now slated for a makeover. That's good news for local skaters who can't legally practice in other places. Tori Johnson has the story.
Lexington Skate Park will get a fresh start thanks to the efforts of a new local nonprofit and timely help from the Lexington Police Department.
It's not a matter of 1 or 2 kids that want to do skating. It's quite a lot of people that support it and want it.
The Greater Rockbridge County Skateboarder Coalition wants to make it a welcoming space
because you need a good ground to roll on, and when you do fall, the ground right here right now is like a cheese grater, it's going to take your skin off.
Many of the park structures were recycled or donated. This metal ramp comes from the remains of the Jordan's Point wastewater treatment facility. And the park is sometimes tagged with illegal graffiti.
I've been working on this skate park since 1998, and I'm ready to retire whenever they get it together.
Mary Harvey Holseth said the city of Lexington has committed to repaving half the park this November. But the coalition wants to raise funds to fully repave the park and add new features to skate on.
And we've had 3 or 4 different configurations over the time period from 98 until now, which is 2021, and none of the pieces have lasted. So this time, we're not going to mess around.
The Lexington Police Department is searching for grants to fund upgraded surfaces and ramps, and exploring partnerships with local colleges to design them.
Once it's been resurfaced, we can then design and build just a whole new set of obstacles, maybe a half pipe, rail system.
Lance Branham set up the Skateboarder Coalition as a nonprofit.
from what I've seen, this place is connecting hundreds of people right now that are interested in it, so it's making the connections. It's just got to keep going.
The skate park can be found near Maury River Middle School in the corner of Brubaker Field Athletic Complex. For the Rockbridge Report, I'm Tori Johnson.
That's all for today's edition of the Rockbridge Report. You can stay current on regional news by logging on to rockbridgereport.wlu.edu. And join us again Tuesday at 3:30 for a Rockbridge Live update.